Hello. Hey guys, hope everybody's doing good tonight. Our newest folk builder, James Alt, donated a ring light and a new camera. So hopefully we're looking sharp this evening. Let me know how it turns out. I do have to look over here a little bit at our screen, as you can see, looking off to the side to read our chat. Hopefully this all works. This all works very good. And yeah, looking forward to see what you guys think. March was a huge month for me and for the AFA. The month started off with the very first Ostara held at Thorshof, and it was fantastic. So many great people showed up. Our leadership team out at Thorshof did an amazing job. The event was really memorable. It was something very special. And it was the first time that Steve and Sheila McNallen were out at Thorshof. And I was very honored to be able to show off Thorshof. It's such a special place in Linden, North Carolina. If you guys haven't had a chance to go out there yet, and you can, I would encourage you all to go. But Ostara this year was absolutely phenomenal. They did such a great job. And I was thinking to myself, and it's such an amazing privilege. And I think I may be the only person who's done this. I celebrated Ostara in March at 3 Hofs on 3 consecutive weekends. And I was so very blessed to do that. We had a great Ostara out at Odenshof. And then I went out, not only did I celebrate Ostara, but I was able to dedicate Baldershof in Murdoch, Minnesota. It's been a long adventure getting that up and running. We have people up there that worked so very hard to make that a reality. And the reality is greater than we could have ever hoped for, and with so much potential to become even greater in the future. That dedication was really special. The place felt so very special. It's hard to describe. It was such an emotional weekend for all of us there. And it was so very, very powerful to be able to dedicate that Hof as a gift to Balder and to celebrate and worship and honor him in that way. I'm honored to be able to have shared that with everybody who was able to attend. I'm extremely thankful for Githya Brandy Callahan, Githya Anna Funk, Githya Anna Shapansky, Gothi Jason Plurd, apprentice folk builder Nathan Erlinson, folk builder Jason Gallagher, everybody out there that made that work. They're truly amazing people. So it was very special that I was able to be a part of that. It looks like a lot of folks have showed up before pregame here on the side to see what they've got going on. Thank you guys so much, those that showed up early and were here for this. Andrew, thank you so much. I'm glad that you think everybody gets excited when I talk. Hope that's the case. Texas is absolutely doing amazing stuff. Thank you so much for our great members and AFA family in Texas. Lori Wadsworth, our folk builder out there, Gothi Kevin Long, you guys are doing great stuff. It's so nice to see Texas take off, and Texas has really taken off the past few months. Guys, keep doing what you're doing. You guys are doing amazing. How you guys are going over here in the chat? Hello, Mary. I'm glad you're with us tonight. Lane, thank you. I appreciate it. I do what I can. Awesome. I'm glad, guys. I'm glad it's looking decent. It's a really nice setup that that James got me. So thank you, James. Appreciate it a lot. Vargerhoff, glad you could join us. I'm not sure who you really are or exactly where you're at, but I'm glad you're with us. I'm glad you decided to join. Where are our facilities? So we have 3 Hoffs now. The first Hoff is Odenshoff in Brownsville, California. That's in Yuba County, California. We have Thorshoff in Linden, North Carolina. I believe that's in Cumberland County. And we have Baldershoff in Murdoch, Minnesota. I believe that's in Swift County, Minnesota. Jilly, I'm so glad to hear that the Lansdale True Folk had a good Ostara. I saw the pictures; it looked great. Those guys are doing fantastic. I love the Ericksons, some of my best friends, and it looks like that kindred's really got great things going on. Every time I see their pictures, they look fantastic. Thanks, Mandy, for the assist, getting people connected on the side. Glad to see that. Well, thank you, Mary. I appreciate that. Cameron. That's Vargerhoff. Glad to have you. I'm very glad you decided to join us. It's great to have you here tonight. I'm trying to figure out a name over here on the side. It's using a character that's really hard for me to read over here. It looks kind of strange. Anyway, someone's asking a question about what would it take to get a Hoff going in north central Pennsylvania. Not a lot. I'd be very tempted. We've got some great people there. Central Pennsylvania is where we host winter nights every year. In Pennsylvania, we've got some of our very best people. We've got folk builder Adam Hudak. We've got Githya Katie Erickson, and we've got Witten member and one of my best friends, Clifford Erickson, out there. I think Pennsylvania looks like a great place to have a Hoff. It would take finding the right property at the right time for the right price. But yeah, I'd be very, very interested in us getting a Hoff there sooner rather than later. We've got a really good support system and great people in that area. All right. Well, fantastic. We got some questions coming in. So, Scottish Witch, I am really sorry that your husband has not received the lapel pin. Hopefully, Mandy, you can get that to the right person who needs to know, and we can get that sorted out. Yeah, I'm really sorry to hear that. We'll get you taken care of, though. And we have James asking about the idea and the information going around that the folk mother, Elsie Christensen, was a Bolshevik, and he wanted me to set that straight. So for you guys that may not know, Elsie Christensen was a extremely important figure in the establishment of modern Aussetru. She brought so many people to Aussetru and helped so many of our folk. She her involvement was extremely important. She brought so many, especially young men, to get involved in this early on and saw them through regular correspondence. Very important person in modern Aussetru. And we want to honor her. One of my first things that was important to me to do as Osherry Gothi was to honor her with one of our days of remembrance. The Midwest Regional event in May is set up to honor her. And on the side, we can get you information on how to sign up for that. We would love to see you guys out there. I'm going to attend that event. I'd love to see you guys there. But anyways, back to the thing about Bolshevism. So some of it's a little bit difficult to understand the political machinations of 1920s, 30s, and 40s Europe. But there was two streams that there was a lot of overlap in that developed after, in the mid 30s, they started to diverge pretty heavily. There was a lot of socialist trends, and yes, among that was Bolshevism, and that coincided with National Socialism. It coincided with Italian fascism, and those elements overlapped quite a bit. One of the things with Elsie in Denmark at the time was she was very much involved in social concerns. That was a time where you had a whole lot of poverty, a lot of crushing poverty, and a whole lot of wealth in a very few hands. And there was a real need to help out the rest of the folk. And that was very, very important to her. But she was part of the Danish National Socialist Party of the time. And she did have affiliations with the more labor-oriented wings of that party. But no, Elsie was not a communist. That's not the case. Whatever you think of her political decisions, one way or another, she was at the time a member of the Danish National Socialist Party. All right, looks like we're getting the pin thing squared away on the side. Thank you, James. I do what I can. We had someone mail in a couple of questions emailed to me. So guys, if you think of this first, those of you who showed up early, you guys can show up here as soon as I schedule the next one. If you have questions that you think of that you want to throw out and make sure I get to. So I encourage you guys to sign in. You know, you guys can sign in, I mean, as soon as I get it up tomorrow, the next day, and ask questions. Then if you'd like, you can also email me questions. Matt Flavel, Flavel, at runestone.org. And I'd be really happy to try to make sure I remember to get those into these conversations. So I'm trying to think of how they put it, but they basically asked if philosophical schools of thought have a place in Ausatru. In other religions, and I guess in other spirituality, there's a lot of competing schools of thought and different philosophies. I think that one day when Ausatru flourishes and all our folk come home and there's millions of Ausatruar, then maybe there's something to some of that. I think that right now, when I see different major philosophical schools within Ausatru, it seems to be a way for very few individuals to feel special and superior to others by thinking they have some esoteric key that the rest of us lack. I haven't seen that to be a reasonable thing in Ausatru. I think that our numbers are still not great enough that we should squabble over obscure points of esoterics. I think that us being a unified body and a unified folk practicing Ausatru in a unified way without diverging into competing schools of thought is a much more legitimate thing for us to do. We saw in the early days of Ausatru a whole lot of wasted potential and wasted energy of everybody wanting to be the king of their own little backyard group and nobody wanting to work together, and everybody thought they knew a better way of doing it. And what it always devolved into is, rather than being a small part of something big that was doing big things, everyone wanted to be, you know, it'd be 4 or 5 fat guys in camp chairs in the backyard arguing over who gets the big piece of chicken. And thankfully, we've moved beyond that. And every time somebody comes up with this different school of Ausatru thought, I think it brings us one step closer to being the guys in the backyard arguing over the big piece of chicken. Oh, also, there was a question about what I think of Survive the Jive. Thomas is a really nice guy. I had the opportunity to meet him at a Northwest Forum a number of years ago, and seemed like a really class guy. I really enjoyed our interaction. I think he does some really good things. I think and I can't say I'm an expert, and I don't listen to all of his stuff regular, so I don't speak authoritatively on it. The time I met him and the time I've talked to him, and I've heard some of his things over the years. One of the things that I think he and a lot of folks do is they sit around and theorize what it would be like if we had a revived Ausatru. What would it be like if this was revived in our modern day? And they don't stop and realize it is revived. It has been revived. It's been revived now for over 50 years. It's being practiced in the Ausatru folk assembly for 26 years and counting now. We now have 3 Hofs to our gods. It's a thing. It's ongoing. We're past the stage of wondering what if, and we're in the stage of doing and acting. And I wish that Survive the Jive and all of those folks would come on board and join us and be part of what we're doing. And I'd love to see that happen. And then I was also asked about Hüger as part of the soul complex and whether that related to the higher self, as you see in some other Indo-European schools of thought. Certainly, I think that it does. I think that it encompasses a lot of things, but a lot of it having to do with your true will and your true self. So I do think it is very much connected to that idea of the higher self. Let me look out over on the side here. I know we got a couple of other things coming in. What's the best way to get in touch with somebody about joining? Go to our website, www.runestone.org. Read over stuff. If you're in agreement with our declaration of purpose and our statement of ethics, feel free to apply on that website. If you have questions, I'd always encourage you to reach out to your local folk builder. Those can be found on the contacts page at our website. Or if you tell us over on the side, Mandy can get you squared away with the folk builder closest to you to talk to. Reminiscences. If you're not getting emails back from folks that you're reaching out to, please email me, Matt Flavel at runestone.org. I promise if your email comes in, I will respond to you and I will get connected and figure out what's not working on the people you're trying to get in touch with. But I hate to hear that happening on the side. Please let me know, and I'd be very, very happy to help you get squared away with whoever you need to talk to. Any new platform to getting connected, staying in contact a little easier. New platform, I don't know about that. We're trying to be very active on VK. Folk builder Lane Ashby is working on expanding our social media a little bit more. We've got regional or district rather Telegram groups going on. Hopefully those work well for folks. I know Telegram can be a little bit difficult to operate. We have Cliff on the back end looking at perhaps some forums, perhaps something more like that to help our people connect a little bit better. We are looking at our options and doing the best we can on that. Right now, the leaders are our VK, Telegram, and then I'm very happy to say our YouTube presence is working really well. We reach a lot of people on YouTube with videos like this. But yeah, we are working on that. Personal choice for Bran the Viking asks, what would my personal choice be for a book to learn runes? So Michael followed you up directly, suggesting that you look into the works of Edred Thorson. That's where I want you to go eventually. If you're brand new to the runes, the best, very basic primer on the runes, I think, is the Runes Workbook by Leon Wild. Um, I can't say enough good about that book as a very beginner level book about the runes. I think it's really accessible. I think it's accessible by older children and certainly by people who are new to Alcitrue. I think very highly of that book. I like it a lot. If you're above that, then absolutely pretty much anything Edred writes on the runes. I think Edred Thorson is the foremost rune master that we have in the modern day, perhaps ever. I think his knowledge of the runes is untouched by any other competition. Futhark is always a good first one by him. He has several rune light, rune lore, all of which are very good. So I would say go with that. But any brand new people to the Runes Workbook by Leon Wild. Okay, we have somebody ask, what is the AFA's stance on people using the symbols of our faith to push dangerous political agendas and attacking our capital? The images of our faith are part of our folk soul, and I think in a way are fair game for our people to use towards causes that they sincerely believe in. And sometimes I'm going to agree with those causes, and sometimes I'm not. I think attacking our capital is a little bit of a misnomer of events that occurred. Not taking a position on it. I don't think that there was a lot of violence, so I want to be careful accusing people of attacking stuff. The other thing I'd like to say is when using our holy symbols for something, we may not all agree on how they're used, but we should always be pious and respectful in our use of them. We should never use them casually. We need to use them with a full knowledge of what they represent and who they represent, and make sure that's at the forefront of our mind when we do use those symbols. But, referring to the same incident, a lot of folks have a lot of different tattoos. That's just going to happen. It is what it is. If you tattoo holy symbols onto your body and then you find yourself doing, and that's something to be aware of. If you find yourself in pictures with those tattoos on you doing things, make sure they're things that you think our gods are going to support and stand behind. And I think that's a solid advice for all of us. Okay. James, a point of clarification. Did GoFundMe, in fact, shut Ron down? I'll look for your answer on the side. So some of you may know this. I believe 2 nights ago, Alcitrue elder and artist and man that has done a whole lot for the resurgence of Alcitrue, Ron McMahon. He awoke, his garage and his car were on fire, burned to, almost nothingness. The timing and some other factors make it look very compellingly like it was an act of terrorism directed at him as being a member of our faith and being so outspoken as he is. And that's appalling that happened to this elderly gentleman that's done so much for us. We've tried to immediately step in. There was a GoFundMe set up for him that I'm checking on the side, but that James say might have gotten taken down. GoFundMe has been abominable in the way they've treated charitable causes. If someone is in desperate need and they don't care for that person's politics, GoFundMe would just assume those people starve and their children suffer. GoFundMe has been terrible in that. So with that in mind, the Austro Folk Assembly, we wanted to step in. We wanted to help Ron in the best way we knew how. We started a fundraiser. So far, that's going great. James, if you could post a link to that over in the side chat, or Mandy or any of our folk builders, if you could post a link to that in the side chat. We're running the fundraiser through the Austro Folk Assembly so that it won't get shut down, and so that we can make sure that money gets to Ron. If you would like to help him out, every little bit counts. Everything you put in there will go directly to helping Ron. And so far, he's unhurt, but he lost the items in his garage. He lost his garage and lost his car. And I'd really like to do the best we can to not only make him whole again, but to let him know that we love him, we care about him, and we want to see him taken care of. So yeah, anybody who wants to donate to that, please do. We're going to have somebody pop up that link over in the side chat. And James, you've been taking point on this. Everybody, big thank you to folk builder James Alt for being on top of this. If you would like a way to chat every day with members and you are a member, Telegram groups are the way to go. If you're not already on there, please get with your local folk builder and they will get you set up and invited. Joel, please do. I would love to have some of your Hungarian goulash. I've heard you talk about it a number of times and it sounds delicious. Are we setting up homeschooling that is faith-based? I would really, really like to. We're having discussions about that on the side now. We're trying to get that squared away. I think that's a long, long way off from being completed and ready, but I really want to do that. And if we have the right volunteers, I would love to see that happen. It's important to me conceptually. It's important to me for the folk. It's also important to me as the father of an almost 1-year-old little girl that I plan on homeschooling. So it's really important that we get that squared away. Like I said, we do have people on the back end working on it, but I don't want to oversell it right now because we have not made the progress ready to call that a thing yet. But we are trying, and like I say, we need that. We would really like that, and we're working on that. Jason, when should someone new to Oustertrue begin to study the runes in depth? If and when they want to. A lot of people, that's their first step in Oustertrue, is they want to study the runes and be a mighty rune master. And I say that in a weird tone because it's kind of a silly first step. It's not a wrong ambition. That's a great thing to do eventually. But that kind of esoteric practice is the frosting on a really great cake. And that cake means living a noble life true to our gods. So worshiping the gods, being part of our faith, being part of the community comes far before learning the mysteries of the runes. That said, if it's a point of interest for you and something that you want to learn, I'd never want to hold you back from doing that. It's just important that you don't. It is okay and it is valuable to worship our gods, be part of our community, and not ever touch the runes. I think it's inappropriate to touch the runes, to study the runes, to devote yourself to the runes, and not to interact with our faith, not to interact with our folk. If that makes any sense and helps. Yeah, James. So James confirmed that Gofundme did shut that fundraiser down for Ron. I knew that was coming at some point. I hope Ron was able to get the money that raised for him before that happened. and he will get every bit of the money that came to the AFA that's still coming into the AFA for him. So let's get that link up, and the AFA can protect those funds and make sure they get where they need to go. Okay, it looks like we do have that link up on the side. If you did want to donate to Ron McMahon, that would be the place to go. Sorry, guys, I'm catching up. You guys got a lot of interest, a lot of questions on the side today. I love seeing that. So I got a question. Does the AFA have a stance or draw its values from the Orlinda book at all? No. No to all those. First, a good translation, and this stuff is relatively new. We don't certainly take our stances from it. I would really like to look into it quite a bit more before I put a firm position on it. As of now, the AFA has no great position on that one way or another. I'd really like to have a better knowledge of that before I comment on that more. DR, yeah, we practice the hammer sign a lot in the AFA because, as you noted, Steve McNallen does, and he's our founder, and we took a whole lot of our cues for him and for practices that he originated. I know that Edred Thorson also talks about the hammer rite and how it's performed. I understand that it looks similar to the signs of the cross that Catholics do. There's a little bit of argument about which came where, but at the, and whether it was authentic and whether our ancestors used to do it. I make no claims that our ancestors used to do it. It is mentioned once in the sagas, but I don't do it because it's ancient. I do it because it's part of the history of modern Alcatraz, and it's something that was holy and special to our founders. And it's something that we still do most often at AFA meal blessings. In the holy names of Odin, Balder, Frey, and Thor, we bless things. So you may see that sometimes. It may be kind of old school, but I know I always do that at meal blessings specifically. Okay, just asking something, Melissa. You said Moodle, and that's not a typo? If that's the case, I will look that up, and hopefully Brandy sees that and we can look that up as well. It would certainly be awesome to create a village or farm we could all live together on. A lot of people have wanted to do that over the years. It's a beautiful dream. I don't take anything away from it. It's a very hard sell, and it's very hard to get people on. If that's something you're interested, though, I mean, swing for the fences, and I wish you the very best. But I think a good alternative or a good preliminary step to that would be just move closer together with some Alcatraz, with some AFA members. I would love to see AFA members move closer to one another. Obviously, I think that moving closer to our Hofs is a really good idea. I think that's a good foundation for a community to happen in those places. So I would really encourage that. But yeah, our folk living closer together is a huge step towards the idea of that village that so many people dream about. And I think that'll get you heading in the right direction. What do I think about the utilization of modern art and music to spread the word of our gods and inspire our folk? And how do I think it should be done? Well and classy is how I think it should be done. I think modern art means something different than art that happens to be made in the modern times. But I would love to see more art done in modern times and music done in modern times. Um, I'm really excited to see starts of that. We see a lot of art done in carving mediums and things that way. We see a lot of beautiful horns and things done. What's been really amazing is to see the murals that Witten Spawn Harrell has done at 2 of our 3 Hofs so far. His mural of Thor at Thorshof and Balder in Baldur's Hof are beautiful, and it's hard to describe on here how powerful they are when you're in the room with them. Those murals, and I believe this fully, invited the gods into their Hofs, and you feel that presence. And I think that's because of that art. So I'd love to see more art. I think it's a huge tool to enliven, to ignite that folk soul in people and to express that folk soul from people. So I would love to see more art musically, the fine arts. Yeah, I think more art, the better. And it's beautiful to see that start to happen. Melissa, it's funny that in telling me Moodle was not a typo, you made a typo. That's awesome. Um, So everybody keeps talking about School of the West. I know absolutely nothing about it. I'm not endorsing it, but after we're done with this, I would really like to take a look at it. It sounds promising. So yeah, I'd absolutely love to take a look at that. You heard it here, folks. Andrew wants you to come on out if you're anywhere near Ocala, Florida. And he says he's got something good going on there. If anybody wants to move there, he's looking to do big things. So, no, that's great. I lived close to there for a little while in St. Augustine. Yeah, that's interesting. And I hope that goes good for you, Andrew. An AFA flag like this one in the background. So our store got taken down when Stripe chose to persecute us a few weeks back. Cliff has got a prototype of the store up and running on the back end of our website now. He's looking to make that go live here in the next couple of days. As soon, the moment he gets that set up, we absolutely sell those flags at www.runestone.org. And we would love for anybody who's interested to go there and purchase that flag or anything else on the shop once it's up and running. And I was talking with Cliff moments before this call, trying to get that set up. So there is product on there, and hopefully that'll go live, like I said, within the next couple of days. Canon, forums are banning you, and you want to know if there's safe forums for folkish Aussertrur. Not that I know of, but I mentioned earlier we're working on establishing some of those now. We had forums on our website back, way back when. They were a big deal then, and with the advent of social media and with Facebook, those forums became increasingly useless. Now with cancel culture, the forums now have a really important use again. So we're looking at getting that squared away, and we'll let you guys know as soon as that becomes a thing. Lucas, are there any good informational True channels on Facebook? Yes, this channel right here. Please subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. I've been trying to load any kind of old footage I can find of anything Steve McMahon has done or any other things the AFA has done in the past before we were really making a lot of use of this YouTube channel. I'm always looking for those things, even if they're audio files. I'd love to have them on here. But we are trying to flesh this out and get more information on it. Well, David, I think you hit on it. David asks what my thoughts are on VK. I really like VK. The downside is there's not a lot of people on. It's not a lot of English speakers on VK. VK has got a ton of Russians. I'd love to get our Russian brothers and sisters involved in what we do. I'd love to have a lot of Russian AFA members. As it is, though, it's hard to connect on there because so few of us are there. The AFA is on there. We post there. I post there a lot from our different AFA HOF pages, the AFA page, and personally, I would encourage all of you to come join me on VK. Is it as good as Facebook? No, but it also avoids the cancel culture problem. It also lets you have free speech. It also is the place where we can do the things that we want to do now, and it functions in that way we're all familiar with. So I would really encourage everybody to come join us on VK, check it out. The more you guys are there and participate, the more we can have something thriving and worthwhile there. VK has also got a lot of really cool and obscure history stuff. Something that some of you guys may not know, or maybe it's just me because I'm getting old, but if you go to VK on your laptop or on your desktop, Google Chrome at least does the automatic translating. So all the Cyrillic that's so very hard to read and understand, if you're looking at it on your PC, it's much, it does that translating for you. And they've got some amazing history groups that is just the kind of stuff you don't find on Facebook. That was really neat. So I'm in a lot of those as well. Okay, so James is asking me about my there we go, my Rhytho ring. This is the ring of the Gothar of the Astru Folk Assembly. Chosen for a number of reasons. The rune Rhytho is the rune of right action at the right time. It's also a rune of nobility. And it's really important to me that that nobility and that right action at the right time guide our Gothar as we help lead our folk home. Rhytho was also the symbol chosen by the Astru Free Assembly to represent that organization, to which the AFA is the successor of. So the Rhytho rune inspires us to be noble in all the things we do and to act rightly at the right times. So that's really important. And also around the edges, and it's way too close, and you guys, there you go, maybe you can see that. It's got recurring all the way around in an endless circle. It's got Ansus, Lagus, Urus, Lagus, Ansus. It's got Alu, and then back up Ula. And it's because our Gothar are that link bringing the divine through the ritual symbolized by Lagus, the mead, the blood of sacrifice, through that ritual to the folk, to the primal, the divine to the primal, and then connecting the folk, the primal, back through ritual to Ansus, to the divine. And very much in Indo-European tradition, the idea of the Gothar, the priest, being that bridge between the divine and the folk. And so that's very much what our Gothar are. As James mentioned, there's a lot to go through with it. There's at least a year-long course where you're mentored by an acting or by someone who's already an experienced Gothi or Githya. And most of the lore stuff is stuff you should know already when you go through it. Our course is much more about leadership, about counseling, so much about counseling, and about how to actually be a religious leader for our folk and for our community. It's been really touching in this day and age how much our folk, there was a time where the Gothar were looked at as, masters of ceremony for ritual, and certainly we conduct ritual. But it's been beautiful, and I feel so honored to be a part of a time where we're religious leaders of our folk, and we're come to by members with all kind of very, very serious counseling needs, and we want to make sure that we're well equipped and have the ability to counsel our people and to help make our people have better lives, to have more successful families, and to make it through the hard times that life throws at us. It's what our ancestors Gothar did. That's what we're doing. And that's what we're striving every day to make sure that the Gothar that follow us down the road are better equipped and can learn from us, our experiences, in order to do that more and better in the future with the challenges that arise in days to come. Gab. I don't like Gab. I don't find it very useful. I mean, I like the people at Gab. I like the idea of it. That really quick couple of words thing that Gab is kind of a clone of Twitter. And I don't find it to be super effective for what we're trying to do, but anybody who wants to use Gab, please do. I appreciate what they're trying to do over there. I guess this follows that. Are we going to use Gab or Telegram for social media? We use Telegram extensively as it is now. If you're not part of that, please contact your local folk builder and they can get you sorted out. It's not perfect, but it is a constant communication with other AFA members. Gab hasn't been very fruitful to us, but I'm not opposed to people trying to make that work better. Hopefully, Lane will try to get on Gab and has some good ideas about how to make that work best for us. Cameron, prison outreach is possible. We have our apprentice folk builder, George Schindler, heading that up right now. We're happy to interact with folks who are incarcerated that want to learn about Aussertrue, want to practice Aussertrue. We're very much of a mind to try to be helpful to those people, and depending on what their needs are, get those in touch with our Gothar and see what we can do to help them out. Like I say, George Schindler is the man you want to talk to about it if you have more curiosity. We're just getting it off the ground, kind of figuring out what we're doing and the best way to serve that community and help them. So, but yeah, George is heading that up, and we're very much interested in doing that where we can. Patrick, how do I feel about the importance of the historical and archaeological past? It's a complex question. I think most of us who found our way here have a deep love of history, of archaeology, and of those things. I'm very interested in history. I'm very interested in what our ancestors did. Certainly, I'm very interested in what, Aussertrue ancestors of the past did, but I'm interested in what all my ancestors did. I think it's important to look to archaeology and history to inform some of our house of true practice, but I think that a lot of people place way too much emphasis on it. We're a living faith. We exist now. House of True is just as authentic in 2021 as it was in the year 800, as it was in the year, 1, as it was in the year 40 BC. House of True lives and grows with our people as we grow. And what I don't want to do is lock the AFA or myself into the practices and modes of the past and to ape something that our ancestors did. I have no interest in that. I'd love to be informed by their practice, but I want to practice something that's real and that's relevant in the world that we live in today, and not pretend that I live in a world that we don't live in today, if that makes sense. So it's important that the past and the present meet in order for us to go into the future. But I wouldn't say that we're reconstructionists, because that leads to reenactment, and we're not redoing anything. We're currently practicing House of True. Folk builder Melissa Mills is hosting an AFA Ladies event May 13th through 16th. Please make sure you get with her if you're interested in that. And if you're a lady of the House of True Folk Assembly, I'm sure you'll meet some great ladies there, and you guys will have a good time. She can get you any information you need on that over on the side. James makes a really good point, and this goes out to anyone who can hear my voice, AFA member or not. If you're in trouble, if you're having a hard time, if things out there are just too much for you, please reach out to our Gothar. Please reach out to me personally. Please reach out to your folk builder who can direct you to our Gothar. Please reach out. Our Gothar, we are here to help. We're here to counsel our folk. We're here to listen. So many people are going through a lot of hard times for a lot of different reasons. If you're struggling and you need someone to talk to, please reach out. And this goes without saying, and I'm not trying to make it awkward. If anyone hearing my voice, and because we've lost some people this way, if anyone hearing my voice is so overwhelmed that they're thinking of ending it, I would really like for you to, I was going to say make me a promise. I don't know how you're going to do that, but at least give it a try, giving one of us a call before you go through with anything. Give it a shot. Please, if you need help, we're here to help, okay? Andrew, I have not watched that episode by Survive the Jive. He does great work. I'm sure that the scholarship in it is extremely sound, and that's probably a really great thing, and maybe something that I'll look into. Nate, I'm glad you liked them. We'd love to get you up there one of these days. Let's make sure we get a couple of those in the calendar. If this is the same Nate from Colorado I'm thinking about, If you see him over here on the side chat, he is the man you have to thank for the beautiful AFA calendars we have every year. He does a really good job on those, and we really appreciate him. Das Schaefer Sturmtrooper, Troopa. I'm sorry he's not getting back to you. Anders, if you see this, if anybody's got contact with Anders, let him know that you're reaching out. If you email me, Matt Flavel at runestone.org, I'd be happy to get that squared away and figure out what's going on there. I can speak personally. I know Anders. He's a really good guy. I think very highly of him. I don't think he's ignoring you on purpose, but if there is a glitch and something's going on, I'd like to get to the bottom of it and figure it out for you. I'm sure there's a lot of people that consider themselves white separatists. It certainly doesn't conflict with Ausatru. It's also not a position point of the Ausatru Folk Assembly or something that we're in any way trying to push, but I don't see it as contradictory to Ausatru in any way. There's a wide scope of politics within the AFA, and within reason, in a way that it doesn't contradict our core principles. We certainly encourage our people to have strongly held political beliefs and to believe in them and practice them in a legal and appropriate way. But yeah, I'm sure you'll find people like that. Okay, one of our Uruguayan member is well, can't really see the name, so I'm not sure if it's our member or not, but a gentleman from Uruguay is asking if I think it's a problem. Some countries have some religious institutions that are held as official level, like the Anglican Church or churches that support the monarchies. This is a hard question because, of course, I don't like the ones that aren't Ausatru. But, in a perfect world, if I was making the rules and establishing countries, Ausatru would absolutely be an official religion. I think it depends on what official religion means and if it implies negative things towards people that aren't of that faith. But I think context is key to all of these things. I will say this, I appreciate when Ausatru has official recognition and in the places that it's treated as an official faith. So far, it's treated that way alongside other faiths, but I think the context to that is a huge thing, and I think there are situations where if Ausatru was the official religion of a state or of a monarchy, that would be a beautiful thing. And I think that was certainly the case with many of our ancestors at many different times in history. Okay, got an interesting question. Do I think that saying white instead of Native European has hurt the AFA, helped, or made no difference? Seem like it's triggered some people. It has triggered a lot of people. But no, I don't think it's hurt the AFA. I absolutely think that it's helped the AFA. The trouble is when you say European, and I don't say white all the time, ethnically European is a fine term, but it has ambiguity to a lot of people. And some in our international audience it may not be the same where they're from. And I know that's the case in some European countries. But here in the United States, white means something. When we fill out job applications or applications for schooling and various other things, there's boxes you check for your ethnicity. And white means white non-Hispanic means something very specific. You find numerous mixtures of people that, because a part of them is descended from Europe, would describe themselves as European. But those same people that would not be eligible for the Ausatru Folk Assembly Also, do not ever check the white box on any of those applications. Barack Obama is half Irish, but he's not white, and he would never tell you or claim to be white. So that's why white has such a value. When I made the post about how in the AFA we love our masculine men, our feminine ladies, and our beautiful white babies, it triggered so many people. But there's nothing mean or you know, abhorrent about any of it. And the fact that I used the word white to very clearly describe what we're talking about, because we're not ashamed of it, that brought a lot of people to the AFA. Simply the change from being scared to use the word white and actively using it has it's caused a big surge in AFA membership. And I attribute a lot of it to speaking plainly about what we mean and not being afraid or being ambiguous for the sake of political correctness. And there's nothing wrong with being white. It's not a bad word. It's not a mean word. It's not derogatory towards anyone. And it clarifies what we're talking about. So no, I think it's helped a great deal, but it absolutely has triggered people. Often when you do the right thing, a whole lot of people get triggered, unfortunately. All right. Melinda, I'm really sorry you haven't heard anything about your application. It depends on when you sent it. It can take up to a week to get someone to respond to you. If you're comfortable leaving your name on the side, I can look it up in our database and get back to you after this program. If you're not comfortable, you can email me at mattflavel@runestone.org, and I'll try to see what's going on with that and get you some answers. Again, we do appreciate everybody that applies, so I'm sorry to hear that, and buck stops here. Get a hold of me, and I'll take care of it and get you squared away, okay? Any fundraisers coming up? We're currently doing the fundraiser for Ron. Outside of that, we are always doing an ongoing fundraiser to help out the displaced white farmers in South Africa. We're always running that. Those people can always use our support, and we're constantly trying to keep that going and helping those folks. Our HOFs are always in need of funds. The donate links on the AFA page can get you there. They certainly need your help. And folk services, we try to build up a war chest in folk services, so when our folks come on hard times, we're able to help them out and to jump right in. And you guys have been generous on that. We've been able to help a lot of people. So folk services is a constant fundraiser that's running. It's a good point. Your beliefs, your religion should absolutely affect your politics. But your politics shouldn't affect your religion. It flows one direction and not the other. Our political stances ought to be based on deeply held beliefs that we have. And of course, that's formed by your religion. But we don't ever want to make the mistake of having that politics dictate our religious choices. James, Uruguay is absolutely in the Baldershof district. Andrew, do I think that the association with white supremacy on VK has a negative effect on the perception of the AFA? I think that every time the mainstream culture throws out white supremacy, it's going to make certain people view us negatively. It's one of those trigger words that still has some power. Although I think the more that they misuse the term, the less power it has. But no, it's still a scary word. And when they put it on us, it scares certain people. I think it also, for the people who've picked up on the fact that they label everything white supremacy or everything that's, encompasses a certain worldview, I think it probably also advertises us to people that are tired of being thrown in that category themselves. So at some point, I don't think it has. I think it has a net neutral effect because I think it has pluses and minuses getting that label. And I'm not owning that label in any way, but knowing that they throw it on everybody, I think it loses some of that power, and I think it does mark us as people that are going against the current of political correctness, which, in a way, and as long as that's done in a principled way, helps us. Yes, that is on the website. If you want to contribute to helping our folk in South Africa, that links up there, and we make sure that goes to helping folks in the camp. Often we try to make sure that gets targeted towards children for things like blanket and food needs. One of the big things we were involved in was a project to get baby formula to a lot of babies that don't have that formula over there, or whose mothers are not capable of providing milk for them. Situations are really bad in those camps, and every little bit helps, and your money goes a long way in South Africa. It's a good point that's being made over on the side. Don't own the labels that they want to throw on you. Don't own just because they call you a white supremacist that you are. We're not. We don't claim to be. That's nothing that we do. That's a label that they throw on us. And you want to make sure that you never play into their hand by being the villain that they paint you as. And I think that's something we should all keep in mind. I think that's an interesting concept, the idea of the Norse gods won't save you. I'm not sure what everybody wants to be saved from. I think we're obliged to save ourselves from things. I think our gods help us. I think our gods inspire us. But I don't think we've ever had any promises to be spared conflict or difficulty. In fact, our gods themselves embrace conflict. So I don't think it's an issue of looking to be saved from anything, certainly not saved from some sort of original sin. But I think our gods do help us. But if we have situations that we need to be saved from, we need to look to each other and to the gods for inspiration, but for us to do the hard work of saving ourselves. There's a number of regional events for Hexennacht and May Day, and I'd encourage you to reach out to folks for those. I believe all three of our Hofs are hosting an event for each of those 2 days. So please reach out to your local Hof and your local folk builder in your area and see what's going on for those days. Daniel, can I touch on ancestor worship and why it's not as prominent as it should be? Ancestor worship, good thing. We should all do it. It means different things to different people. Connecting with our ancestors is extremely important. One of the reasons I think it's neglected by people, I've seen 2 cases. First, the glittery, shiny first stuff you come into when you learn about Asatru is about the gods. And that's great. Our holy gods are extremely important and deserve worship and our attention, and that's fantastic. I think coming to the idea of worshiping our ancestors is more of a wisdom thing that comes in time. But it's extremely important. The gods have a whole lot of us to worry about and think about. And, at the end of the day, they may not all be that particularly interested in the trivial goings on of your particular life, but your ancestors, your grandfather, your grandmother, your great grandmother, those folks look on and they know you and they care about you. And that's extremely important. And as Daniel mentioned, it's often neglected. So I would encourage everyone to have an altar for their ancestors and to talk to them regularly. Talk to them with your family. Talk to them with your young kids. We say good morning to the ancestors, me and Aubrey, every morning when I wake her up, because I think it's important. More ancestor worship would be a really good thing and really a perfect thing for your home altar. Okay, guys. All right. Well, it's been very good tonight. Does anybody have any last questions that they want to get in? As I mentioned, if you have questions, you can come to the scheduled live chats and put them in the little chat bar before they happen, and I'll see those and know to get to them. You can email them to me. Thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. I look forward to this every month. I'm very excited to get to talk to you guys. Thank you, James, for this fancy light hookup. Hopefully this makes for a better product and we can refine it as time goes on. You guys are amazing, and I love my AFA family. Well, DR, I don't really roll MMA. I do Japanese jiu-jitsu, so a lot of throws. We do some grapple work, but it's a lot of throws. But yes, I absolutely still do that, and it does a lot for me, and I love it. So, all right. Well, I hope you guys have a great night. If not before then, I'll talk to you guys next month. Hail the gods, hail the folk, hail the AFA.